Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Monday edition of Daily Betslip. It is a new week, and today on the show, I'm joined by Peter Dewey, as he usually joins me on Mondays. We got a lot to talk about today. We got Monday Night Football between the Ravens and the Saints. That is our game of the night. And then, of course, we got some NBA action, some NHL action, and we are both going to talk about some teams to buy low on and sell high on in both the NBA and NHL. Peter, the Drake album is elite, says your sign.
Yes, it's very good. If you have not listened to the Drake 21 Savage album, Her Loss, I would highly recommend doing it. I probably have listened to the album all the way through about 12 times now since it came out Friday morning. So it's been great.
We were talking about that before the show, and I can name two Drake songs. Started from the bottom and Over are the two Drake songs I can name. So
I'm impressed that you can name such old Drake songs and not any of the new ones. I thought they were going to be current ones. So I'll give you that. I also have a question for you.
Yes.
Because as we know, the Titans kept it close with the Chiefs yesterday. So I see you're now the number one Titans fan.
I am.
Over on Twitter. Just kind of tell me a little bit about that, because I heard they were frauds last year. So now just wanted to know the change of heart.
Yeah, they say that if you can't beat him, you got to join him. So that's where I'm at with the Titans. I had my last attempt at fading them this past week. I went all in. I took Chiefs spread. I took Chiefs alternate spread minus 19.5. Chiefs alternate spread minus 29.5. Derrick Henry under his rushing total, and still they covered and almost won the game. So stats don't make sense when it comes to the Titans. No matter what the stats say, no matter how bad they are, no matter how outplayed they are, no matter how outgained they are, no matter what, the Titans will beat teams or keep it close. So I've tried to fade them now for 2 straight years. I give up. I officially give up. They've covered the spread in 6 straight games, despite being one of the worst statistical teams in the NFL. It makes no sense anymore. I don't know if it's just good coaching. I don't know if the football gods have just blessed this franchise, but it makes no more sense, and I'm done trying to figure it out. So now I am a Titans fan.
All right. I mean, that's a fair enough explanation. I was shocked logging on my Twitter and seeing Titans number one fan popping up yesterday. I was like, who is this guy? I was like, wait, that's Iain. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm a Titans fan now. I'm going to bet on them to win the division, bet on them to win the conference, bet on them to win the Super Bowl. So,
wow.
Yeah, because and also part of it is the only way, it's kind of like my last weapon for the Titans to finally start losing games is for me to start cheering for them. Because, we all know by now how much of a cursed sports fan I am. I bought an AJ Terrell jersey a couple weeks ago. He immediately gets hurt and hasn't played for them again since. All my teams blow leads, the biggest, most historical leads blown in sports history, all teams I cheer for. So the only way I can get the Titans to actually start losing games is for me to start cheering for them. So I will cheer for the Titans this week. I've bet on them. Who are they playing this week? They're 3-point favorites against someone. Oh, your Broncos.
Broncos, yeah.
So I'm betting on them.
That's gonna be an automatic win.
I'm betting on the Titans this week. So I would recommend everyone to now bet against the Titans, because now that I'm cheering for them, now that I've made my Twitter name Titans number one fan, they will start to lose. I guarantee it.
I hope you're right, but I've watched too much Broncos this year to believe in that. So that team stinks.
All right, we got a stacked show to get through here. Let's dive into some community picks. I will say, you got to mention it is the start of the college basketball season. No college basketball picks for me or you on the show today, or at least I don't think you have college basketball picks, do you?
No, sir.
I need a little bit of stats before I can start handicapping, because, I mean, I'll be honest. I'm not a big enough college basketball guy where, like, I'm paying attention to the offseason to, like, who they're signing from what high school and what happened in the transfer portal. So I'm a stats-based handicapper. I can't handicap games that don't have stats for them. So I usually wait a couple weeks before I get into college basketball, but I know we have some community picks today for some college basketball games. So let's dive into those community picks there now. We can bring up the first one. First one is DeCucci versus the bookies at DeCucci Bets.
Oh, man.
I was college basketball picks. Here's one from DeCucci. They really like Ohio plus 8.5 against Belmont. Belmont losing 4 starters. Big transition year for the program, and I love what Ohio has coming in from the portal and returnees from injury. Sprinkle money line if you can find plus 190 and above. That is the Bobcats taking on the Belmont Bruins, I believe. And a little college basketball action set to tip off here in a couple hours. All right. I don't think you have anything to add to that pick, do you? I certainly don't. I like the breakdown.
I don't. I do like the breakdown. I think that's one thing I will say about college basketball. I feel like early in the season, because I agree with you. I need some stats before I start diving into these games, especially when it's like high school kids. Like you have no idea how they've never played a college basketball game in their life.
Right.
What are we supposed to?
And I'm not paying attention to the transfer portal of the Ohio Bobcats, unfortunately.
Yeah,
so,
but I do agree with the Belmont losing 4 starters. I think like early in the season, you kind of do want to target more veteran teams that have guys who are returning starters, returners who played big minutes, just because. Like, they've been there. Teams with a lot of freshmen, like there's going to be growing pains early in the season. It's like anything else.
Yes.
So that is something I seeing that 8.5 does seem that's not a bad spot to be in, I guess.
Ooh, my UC Irvine Anteaters, Zot, get their season started off night against the Chapman Panthers. Big game.
I was hoping there was going to be like a good game tonight. Like there's nothing, man. Everything I was looking at like some of this, like everything's like 15 or more points. It's crazy. Yeah. It's insanity.
Yeah. All right. Let's bring up the next community pick. Good luck to you, Coochie. Zach at Z Lang. David Pasternak over 4.5 shots on goal. That is an NHL pick, NHL prop bet for tonight's game, the Bruins and the St. Louis Blues. I will have a pick for that game. It will not be a prop bet that I'll be betting on the side. But I like that pick. I'm a big fan of Pasta. He's a great player. I don't like the Bruins generally as a franchise, and especially what they did this past week. Not good for the Boston Bruins, but they are a good team this year, as unfortunate as it is for me to say. Boston might win another championship. It's certainly possible, but I like Pasternak over 4.5 shots on goal. He didn't send in a reason, so I guess we'll just have to trust him. All right, let's bring up the third community pick. This is from Streak Bets at Streak Bets. Another college basketball pick here for us. IUPUI versus Iowa State under 130.5. And if the team total comes out, pound the IUPUI under, regardless of the number. I think I was on a lot of Iowa State unders last year, so I might even tail this one. Peter, do you know what IUPUI stands for?
I don't, but I do know George Hill went there. That is like the most notable player to go to IUPUI. So that would that's my knowledge on this game. George Hill's playing for the Bucks tonight, but he's an IUPUI legend. So
I'm trying to find out. I should know what this is. And also I'm trying to see if they have the team total, because now I'm interested to see what it's going to be at.
I'm assuming this is just the Iowa State has a really good defense. I'm guessing that's why I know they were a very good defensive team last year, on that tournament run especially.
He represents Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis in Indianapolis, Indiana. How about that for a school name?
That's a lot, man. Holy.
Indiana University - Purdue University, Indianapolis in Indianapolis, Indiana, United States.
That's why they made the acronym. There you go.
IUPUI. That's certainly less of a mouthful.
For sure.
No, I'm looking at team total under 51.5 for IUPUI. I'm locking it in right now. Let's do it. I will trust you, Streak Bets. Team total under IUPUI for my first college basketball pick of the season. All right, let's get to the next community pick. I think we have just one more. Here's a little NBA one for you, Peter, that you can chime in on. Scott Sneed at Fade Me to Glory says, let's go with fading the Pistons once again in the first quarter. Thunder minus 0.5 at even money. Any thought on that one? Pistons Thunder tonight.
Yeah, I love that one. The Pistons have been absolutely brutal this season. They're dead last in the NBA in defensive rating, so that's going to be a big problem against this Thunder team. OKC has arguably one of the 5 best scorers in basketball to start this season, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's averaging over 31 a game. So this Detroit team is brutal, man. They got boat raced by the Cavs without Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland on Friday night. They just are a really young team. They've really struggled this year. They actually opened in that game as favorites, and the line has moved all the way to OKC. I saw it at OKC -2, some spots -1.5. So nobody has confidence in the Pistons, and yeah, half a point. I would hammer the Thunder money line in that first quarter because I think they're going to win this game pretty easily. Do you lock it in, or is that IUPUI?
IUPUI team total under 51.5. I put $25 on it. Streak bets, and if it loses, I'm coming for you. All right, I believe that is it for community picks here. Let me just double check. Yeah, that's it for community picks. So 2 college basketball, hockey, and an NBA, a little bit of everything. Let's dive into our best bets for tonight. Peter, you got 3 NBA. I have 2 NHL, and I have the rare NBA player prop for tonight.
Whoa!
Yeah, I'm dipping my toe into the NBA player prop world here. So let's get into it. Why don't you start us off with your first NBA bet?
Yeah, so the first one I'm taking the Denver Nuggets -2.5 in the first quarter against the San Antonio Spurs tonight. I honestly like this, even if you have to take it at 3. But I don't think with the -105, I think you might be able to get it at 2 at some places. But this is a simple bet. Denver beat San Antonio by 25 the other night. None of their starters played more than 30 minutes, so this was they just dominated them. And right now, the Nuggets are second in the NBA in first quarter net rating at +21.2. The Spurs are 25th at -9.5. So it's Spurs team that everybody kind of coming into the year thought was going to be one of the worst teams in the NBA. They got off to a hot start, went 5-2, coming back to earth now, facing a Denver team that they do not match up well with between, Nikola Jokic, Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray in that starting lineup. San Antonio just doesn't have the offensive firepower. So for a team that also the Spurs were a top 10 offense the first week and a half of the season, they are now 27th. So they have really fallen off a cliff. So I like anything Denver in this first quarter. If you don't want to lay the points with them, you can take them on the money line. I think Denver handles this team pretty well again.
All right, I like it. Denver Nuggets first quarter -2.5 against the Spurs. I'm going to be looking to the NHL here, and I'm going to give out my first pick is going to be a pretty big favorite, but I still like it regardless. I'm getting less aggressive with puck lines and wins and regulations this season, so I'm just going to go money line here. Boston Bruins, I got them at -190 against the St. Louis Blues. If you want to get aggressive and take puck line or to win in regulation, go ahead. I'm going to stay conservative, though. This Blues team, the funny thing about them is that they had a lot of deficiencies last year, a lot of areas that kind of held them back, but they were the best shooting team in the NHL, which caused them to win more games than they probably deserved to. This season, this is the complete opposite issue. They are now the worst shooting team in the NHL, dead last in shooting percentage, and they're still not great in some advanced analytics. 26th in 5-on-5 Corsi percentage. In the Bruins, we talked about them a little bit earlier. They're one of the best teams in the NHL so far this season. Once again, they're one of the best defensive teams in the NHL, just like they were last year. 4th in expected goals against. So you have the worst shooting team in the NHL going up against arguably the best defensive team. So I don't know if the Blues are going to find the back of the net at all tonight. I'll take the Bruins to win -190. All right. You got a couple more NBA picks. Keep rolling with your next one.
Yeah, so the next one I have is Darius Garland, over 31.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Very small sample size on Darius Garland this year, I will say, because he got injured 13 minutes into his first game of the year. But his last 2 games, he's been absolutely fantastic playing alongside Donovan Mitchell. He's had 46 points, rebounds, assists, and 35 points, rebounds, assists in those first 2 games. He's taking 19 shots per game over that stretch, scored over 20 points in both those games. So you have a nice little floor for him here. I think against this Clippers team, one of the better defensive teams in the league, they're going to need Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell to kind of carry the load here. But both teams also on a back-to-back. So I think that actually hurts the Clippers more than the Cavs. Clippers have already ruled out John Wall tonight. They won't have Kawhi Leonard. So I think Cleveland had their favorite on the road. They have the advantage here. 31.5 just too low for Garland. If he had been playing the whole season and he had put up those 2 games back-to-back, we'd be looking at this number probably close to 36, 37.5. This is just a product of he's only played 2 games, so you can only set the line so high. And I think he could clear this in points alone if he has a really good game, so I would definitely take the over.
All right, Darius Garland over 31.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I just gave you a big favorite in the NHL, so now I owe you an underdog. So I'm going to take the Washington Capitals plus 125 against the Oilers here. I just think these two teams are way too close to justify the Capitals being home underdogs in this spot. 15th and 16th, so they're right next to each other in 5-on-5 Corsi percentage. And Washington has a huge defensive advantage here. Capitals ranked 15th in expected goals against per 60 minutes. The Oilers seems to be the same issue they've had for the past few years, that they can't play defense. 28th in expected goals against per 60 minutes. So I like the Capitals here. I think this game's a little bit mispriced. I'd probably set it more closer to a pick 'em. I will take Washington on the money line at plus 125, which wraps up my NHL picks. You got one more NBA pick, and then I'll give out my NBA pick to wrap things up.
Yeah, we talked some Pistons Thunder earlier in the show. I'm going to take a player prop in that game. Josh Giddey over 14.5 points. Giddey started the season very well, went out with an ankle injury. Last two games, he's come back and he scored 16 and 15 points in those games, taking 14 shots in both of those games. So definitely some good usage for him there. Has the ball in his hands a lot. He's arguably the primary playmaker for the Thunder. Like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is their number one scorer, but if they're trying to initiate offense, it's going to go through Josh Giddey. So I like the fact that he's going to have a high usage rate in this game. This season, every single game so far, he's taken at least 11 shots. So you have a floor of where he can get to this prop. And he's facing a Pistons team that, like I mentioned earlier in the show, is dead last in the NBA in defensive rating. So this is a game I think the Thunder are going to win pretty easily, even on the road. And I think, Giddey, SGA, those guys are going to be the two guys who see the most consistent shots, most consistent usage. 14.5 points, just way too low against a defense that is god-awful this season.
All right, Josh Giddey over 14.5 points. My NBA pick for tonight. Let's get in a little prop action for myself. I'm going Domantas Sabonis over 11.5 rebounds here against the Warriors. Pretty easy handicap, pretty straightforward. He's gone over this total in 2 of his last 3 games, and the Warriors, despite being a great scoring team, not great at rebounding. 27th in rebounding percentage, grabbing just 47.6% of boards, grabbed only 45.3% of boards over their last 3 games. So I'll go Sabonis over 11.5 rebounds tonight.
I like that play quite a bit, actually.
All right.
I think Golden State they don't have enough size. James Wiseman's been really bad defensively, so they haven't been able to play him a lot. So Sabonis against Kevon Looney and Draymond Green, he's going to have a size advantage all night down there.
Boom. Grab those boards. Sabonis. All right, those are our best bets. We'll have picks for the Thursday night football game, which we will end the show on. But next segment, let's talk about some teams in both the NBA and NHL to buy low on and sell high on. Now that we're a few weeks into each of their respective seasons, Peter, you're going to handle the NBA. I will handle the NHL. Why don't you start us off here? Give us your buy low team and sell high team in the NBA for moving forward.
Yeah, we were just talking about them. I'm going to buy low on the Golden State Warriors. I do want to see them kind of bounce back. They had a really bad losses. They lost 5 in a row. They lost the Magic, the Hornets, and the Pistons over that stretch. Not exactly.
Whoa, they're 3-7. What happened?
Not what you want to. So we're going to get into it. That's what I'm saying. They're not what you want to see from a team that is supposed to be a finals contender. But the reason why they're my buy low team is we're already seeing some of the lines in their games move. Like tonight, they're at home only 7.5 point favorites against the Kings. This is probably the spot where I believe earlier this year when they played the Kings, they were double-digit favorites. So we're seeing, odds makers starting to adjust. But the way you got to look at this Warriors team, they lost a lot of veterans from last year. They lost Otto Porter. They lost Gary Payton. They lost Damian Lee. They lost guys who played big minutes for them. And they're, are proven vets, and they replaced all of them with young guys. So between James Wiseman, Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, all those guys, either second or third year guys, Wiseman sat out all of last year. So they kind of got forced into playing these guys more minutes. There's going to be growing pains there. That's just the way it goes. But Steph Curry's been playing fantastic. Klay Thompson's starting to get his legs under him. And the Warriors also are going to get Dante DiVincenzo back at some point in this rotation. He's a proven, wing that they can add into this rotation. So I'm not out on the Warriors yet. Obviously, 3-7 starts, not what you want to see. But if we start seeing them play some of these lesser teams, for example, tonight against the Kings, and, they're only laying 4, 5, 6 points, like you might be the time, okay, we can get back on this team because eventually with the way they've been scoring the ball, they're going to turn around. Their defense is taking a step back this year. They're like 28th in defensive rating. That's going to turn around once these young guys start getting up to speed. So I definitely would buy low on Golden State early on in this season because this has been about as disastrous of a start as they could have asked for.
All right. What about a sell high team?
Yeah, another team I talked about earlier in the show. I'm selling high on the Spurs, and they've already started to kind of see the dip here. They started 5-2. They've lost 3 in a row, got blown out in a couple of those games. This is a team that coming into the year, Greg Popovich himself was saying, do not bet on the San Antonio Spurs. And the way I look at this, Ian, they came into this year, they had multiple games as double-digit dogs early in the year, and they won. They beat the Sixers, and I believe they beat the Wolves, both as double-digit dogs outright. Now they're facing Denver tonight, and they're at home, so that's going to change the line a bit, but they're only 7.5-point dogs against the Nuggets team that just beat them by 25. So I think going forward, they're going to start becoming double-digit dogs more and more and more. I'm not about backing this team. They started off the season so hot offensively. They're now one of the worst teams in the NBA in terms of offensive in terms of net rating. They've fallen all the way to 28th. So there's only so much you can do when you have the lack of like top line talent that they have. It's really Keldon Johnson and just a bunch of guys that are trying to fit into this roster. So the Spurs, once you start seeing teams like when their net rating starts dropping off below like -5, -6, like you're going to get blown out in a lot of games if you keep playing poorly on one side of the floor. So I'm fading the Spurs probably unless they go on this another miraculous run. I think they peaked, and now we're going to start seeing them go back to what everybody expected.
All right, there you go. Buy low on the Warriors, who I had no idea we're 3-7 this year. That's pretty crazy. Sell high on the San Antonio Spurs. Let's switch over to NHL. My buy low and sell high team. Going to start with buy low here. I'm going to buy low on the Minnesota Wild. First of all, this is a team that I think is the deepest team in the NHL. It's a team where they'll get better as the season goes on just because of their depth. Once we get into the middle of this month, the middle of December, in the middle of the winter, and teams are dealing with injuries, and you're playing back-to-backs, and you're playing your fourth game of the week, and you have to put out your fourth line against the Wild fourth line. That's where this Wild team is going to thrive. And we saw Marc-Andre Fleury, their goaltender, get off to a bit of a rough start to the season. He's going to come around, and I think the easiest way to look at teams that you should either sell high or buy low on is to look at the advanced analytic called expected goals for and expected goals against, and then compare it to their actual goals for and actual goals against. So if you look at the Wild, their expected goals for per 60 minutes so far this season, 3.28. Their actual goals for 3.03. And then their expected goals expected goals against where you see a massive difference. Expected goals against per 60 minutes, 2.72. Actual goals against per 60 minutes, 3.57. So their actual goals for and against are 3.03, 3.57. It should be 3.28 to 2.72 if all things regress to the mean here. So I expect the Wild to kind of turn things up as we go along. They're right now 5-1. I think they're my pick preseason to win the Central Division. So I think they're going to pick it up here. And my sell high team is the team that's winning the Central Division, the Dallas Stars. Their goaltending is playing at unsustainable rate, and their shooting is also at an unsustainable rate. They're averaging 3.81 goals per 60 minutes. They're leading the NHL in shooting percentage. I don't think they can keep it up. They don't exactly have an offensive-based team, and they're another team that their expected goals for and expected goals against numbers are just wildly different than what their actual goals for and actual goals against numbers. So I think that Central Division, the standings, you see it right now. You got Stars, Jets, Avalanche, Blackhawks, Wild, Predators, Coyotes, and Blues. By the end of the season, those standings are going to look completely different. So I think if you want to look at some sell high, buy low candidates, look at the Central Division. Even the Predators, I think they're a good buy low candidate. The defending champs, Avalanche, are only 6-4. The Jets are 7-3-1. They're not going to keep that up. They're a sell high team. So I'd look into the Central Division for some teams that are going to regress to the mean here in the next couple weeks. So there you have it. That's our NBA and NHL sell high and buy low teams. Let's talk about game of the night here. It is Thursday Night Football. It is the final game.
Monday Night Football. Whoa.
Monday Night Football.
Here.
Yeah, I already got ahead of myself. Although Thursday Night Football, the reason why I was thinking Thursday Night Football
Your Falcons.
this week, my Falcons. So, big game. Our only primetime game of the entire season is a Thursday Night Football game against the Panthers.
How could they do that to a division leader? Terrible.
Fact. I don't think they're winning the division anymore. I think the Buccaneers have them now.
Yeah, not anymore.
Unfortunately. But speaking of the NFC South, there is another NFC South team playing tonight. It is the New Orleans Saints hosting the Baltimore Ravens. Let's get into it. It is a pretty small spread. What is that right now? 2, 1.5. As of right now, 1.5 on FanDuel. Yeah. Saints are home underdogs. Ravens slight home road favorites. Why don't you give us your best bet for Monday Night Football?
Yeah, I'm going with a player prop tonight. I'm taking Isaiah Likely over 43.5 receiving yards.
Love that bet. Love it.
Mark Andrews is out tonight. As a Mark Andrews fantasy owner, I picked up Isaiah Likely to replace him in my lineup. You look at last week, Mark Andrews only played in the first half before his shoulder injury. Isaiah Likely had by far his best game of his NFL career, 7 targets, 6 catches, 77 yards, and a touchdown. And to add on to this, the Ravens are going to be without their number 1 receiver in Rashad Bateman. He's done for the year. They're without J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, their top 2 running backs. So there's only so many options for where they're going to go on offense. Likely's been involved in the offense all season long as the number 2 tight end in his rookie season. He's been a solid player for them in terms of they use him outside as like a bigger wideout. They use him inside at tight end. So I just think tonight there's only so many guys on this Ravens offense. Like Kenyon Drake's going to be one of the guys. Devin Duvernay is going to be one of the guys. Isaiah Likely, I think, has a chance to pace the team in targets tonight. So 43.5 receiving yards, just way too low in a game where Lamar Jackson's your quarterback. It's not like he's playing with a backup quarterback. So I think Lamar's going to get him the ball 7 for 77 or 6 for 77 last week and basically half a game. So 43.5, way too low. I'm taking the over.
Love it. Love that play quite a bit. I think in my touchdown scores article at BetSided, I think I listed Isaiah Likely as a touchdown score for tonight. I think he's like plus 150-ish.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like that quite a bit. My best bet for tonight, I'm going with the over. I think we're going to get a lot of points in this one. Saints offense, one of the most underrated offenses in the NFL this season, heading into week 9. I don't know if these stats hold up now after yesterday's action, but heading into this week, 5th in the NFL in yards per play. Only the Bills, Chiefs, Dolphins, and Lions average more yards per play than the Saints. Also, the Saints 11th in points per play. The Ravens 3rd in points per play. Now, their Saints issue and why their record isn't better than what it is because they turn the ball over a ton. But if Andy Dalton wants to throw a couple pick sixes this game, that's fine by me, as long as someone finds the end zone one way or another. Also, both teams in the top half of the NFL, both in 3rd down conversion rate and red zone touchdown scoring percentage. Saints are 8th in both of those. Ravens are 12th in 3rd down conversion rate, 15th in red zone touchdown scoring rate, which is always huge for an over bet. And the Ravens should be able to run the ball effectively against this Saints defense as well. It's kind of the whole of their defense. They're 17th in opponent yards per carry, and the Ravens lead the NFL in offensive yards per carry. So I got it at a bad number personally early in the week. I think I got it at 48. It's down to 46.5. So I love it. Love the over tonight for Monday Night Football between the Ravens and Saints. And the poll results are in. The community's on the Ravens minus 1.5. I think is a pretty lopsided victory there as well. I'm trying to think of who the poll was on for Thursday Night Football last week. What even was the Thursday night game?
Thursday night, it was Eagles-Texans. The community was on the Texans, right?
Community was on the Texans. The community hit that bet. So there you have it. Community might be a little hot. I think they were, at least on the shows I was on last week, I think they were 3-1. Community getting hot. But I'm on the over, so I will not be on either side. I think the spread set about right. I think the Saints are sneaky good. I think they're kind of underrated, but there you have it. We'll see. That is our show, though. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe as always. Peter, any final thoughts?
Yes, one final thought. Andy Dalton, 6-19 in primetime games in his career. Don't forget that stat tonight.
Is that straight up or against the spread?
Straight up.
6-19. So, yeah, maybe you should be taking the Ravens. But it would be a shame if the Ravens win by 1 point.
Would be a shame. Would be a shame.
I will be rooting for the Ravens, obviously, because I need the Falcons to win the NFC South, and the Saints winning would not help that. All right, but that is our show. Check out the early read tomorrow. I believe it'll be going live at 1 p.m. Eastern. Reed will be giving out his best college football bets for week 11 of the college football season, and then he will join me on Daily Betslip at 5 p.m. Eastern. Thank you all so much for watching. Good luck to your bets tonight. Gambler bless. We'll talk to you all tomorrow.